woman, you're the light workers, you're the hurricane clips of this world. Now we can get on to the speaker of the day. You all know her quite well. She always brings a wonderful, wonderful message for each of us. So without any further ado, Reverend Anita.
Thank you. Our topic this morning is love. No surprise. As I sat on my back porch thinking of what I would say today, I enjoyed the early spring Tampa weather, and my mind wandered to the beauty of nature and how full of love I feel when I'm outside. Do you get that feeling being outside when the weather is near perfection? It's just wonderful. When I said I'd speak today, I thought I'd be following Reverend DJ's Love is Blind, Following by Madness. So I guess we'll get that at another time. But another thing I have to mention and thank Maria for, I had wanted to ask for the song The Rose. And everything that conspired this past week, it was just something that I didn't feel like I wanted to put on her. And that's the song that she planned for today. So
wow. Thank you.
That was just a little piece of coincidence.
Synchronicity.
Yes,
yes,
yes. As I was writing, I could see that what I was writing was practical, and I tend to be very practical. But there wasn't much punch or real spark to it. And so I thought what was needed was the mystical, something too large to understand and too grand to overlook. Love is the fire that draws us into the crucible of marriage, where potential exists for negative character traits to be burned away, leaving the unconsumed essence. I'm giving you today some examples of love's more enduring manifestation, something to set our sights on. I have a story, and it's really too long to read to you, so I'm just going to give you the essence of it. There was a woman who was a young woman, very much in love with her husband, and for several years he'd been away fighting the wars. She lived in a beautiful area, and it really fed her soul, but when her husband came back, he was unhappy, traumatized by the war and his experiences, and he couldn't be open to her love and her softness as he had been when they were first married and first together. And so he was very rude and ugly to her, and it hurt her feelings, but she wanted to get her marriage back as it had been. And she loved her husband very much, so she went to a healer, and the healer gave her a quest to go on to look for a missing ingredient that the healer could put into the potion. And the woman climbed a mountain. She was in her sari, and she must have been freezing to death. She got through the mountain, through the trees, through the winds and the snow and the cold and the bitter tiredness that she felt. And she found a small place to shelter herself. And the pack that she had brought was filled with food, but she didn't eat it herself. Instead, she made a bowl of food and placed it outside the den of a crescent moon bear, from which she was supposed to obtain a hair from the bear's crescent moon on his chest. It was a pretty scary thing. This is a fragile young woman, but she loved her husband so much she endured all the trials and the tribulations of climbing the mountain and of working with the bear so that it got used to accepting her food. And then one night she was bold enough to step forward and show herself to the bear. And at first the bear thought, this would be an easy meal. But the bear listened to her story and could see the love in her eyes. And it's really a story about how we quest for something and we really put ourselves into it, and we forget about ourselves because we love someone else so much that what we have to go through is worth anything to make the other person whole again. So when she got back down to the foot of the mountain and back to the healer, it turned out that the healer took her treasured piece of hair that she had obtained and threw it in the fire, and she was horrified, and she said, you know, how could you do that after all I went through? And so I'm just going to read you this part because I think it's so beautiful and I don't want to mess it up. She said, yes, this is an authentic hair from the crescent moon bear. And then suddenly she turned and threw the hair deep into the fire, where it popped and crackled and was consumed in the bright orange flame. No, cried the woman, what have you done? Be calm. It is good. All is well, said the healer. Remember each step you took to climb the mountain. Remember each step you took to capture the trust of the crescent moon bear. Remember what you saw, what you heard, what you felt. Yes, said the woman, I remember it well. The old healer smiled at her gently and said, please now, my daughter, go home with your new understandings and proceed in the same ways with your husband.